Look, and I'm starting the video stream. And if anybody...
Yeah, I'm pinging while you're doing that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we have the countdown to get things going. So fantastic. And welcome, everybody. We're going to get started in just a moment. We always have a little buffer and while everybody comes into the room. And just a heads up, if you want to follow all the articles that we discuss in the Music News Power Hour, you can go to musicindustrycity.com. So when you go to musicindustrycity.com, there is a graphic that says show notes. If you click on that, it's going to take you to a Google Doc. There's all the headlines that we have that we talk about for today and also during the week. So when we get to Friday's Music News Week in Review, you can bring something to the table. You're like, hey, let's talk about this a little bit more. And that's what we do here is we're going to read articles so you can kick back a little bit. But if you want to join in the conversation, if you want to have something to say about it, or when we do the industry roundtable for the second half of the hour, feel free to jump on. And we're going into the countdown. Hi, and welcome to the Music News Power Hour on the Music Industry City Broadcast Network. And today we are going to talk about Bruno Mars. Catalog's going to Warner. Shuttered venue operators grants are late. Post-Brexit touring. Live music updates. Your guide to the Metaverse. Plus your daily Spotify updates. And let's welcome my co-host, Angela Randall. And if for those you know, Eli is off for the next few days. She will be back on Thursday. Well-deserved vacation. And with that being said, Angela, how you doing? And why don't we kick off with this day in history?
Hi, everybody, from sunny at the moment, England. It's great to see everybody on this lovely Tuesday, 25th of May. So let's get started with this day in history. On this day, 25th of May, 1965, blues harmonica player, singer, and songwriter Sonny Boy Williamson died in his sleep. Van Morrison, Aerosmith, The Who, The Animals, Yardbirds, and Moody Blues all covered his songs. According to the Led Zeppelin biography, Hammer of the Gods, touring in the UK in the 60s, Sonny Boy set his hotel room on fire while trying to cook a rabbit in a coffee percolator. One of a kind, clearly, in memory. This day in May 25th, 2009, a former member of Wilco, who was suing the band over a royalties claim, died at his home in Illinois at the age of 45. Jay Bennett worked as a sound engineer and played instruments for the band between 1994 and 2001. Bennett filed his legal action against Wilco lead singer Jeff Tweedy at the beginning of May, claiming $50,000 for 5 albums he made with the group. In memory. And today in 2013, American rock and roll bassist Marshall Little died age 79. He was best known for his work with the groups Bill Haley and his Comets. And now on to birthdays. On this day in 1921, Hal David, American songwriter, pianist, and arranger, who with Burt Bacharach wrote many classic songs, including Close to You, 24 Hours from Tulsa, Make It Easy on Yourself, Magic Moments, I Say a Little Prayer. He won 2 Oscars for the film score to Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and for Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. Happy birthday. Also this day in 1948, Klaus Meine from German rock band Scorpions. Happy birthday to you. And 1958, English singer-songwriter musician Paul Weller. Happy birthday to Paul. And in 1959, Rick Smith, keyboards from British electronic music group Underworld, also happy birthday. And lastly, in 1975, born American singer, songwriter, rapper Lauryn Hill. Happy birthday to all of you amazing musicians and artists. This day in history, 1973, Carole King played a concert in New York's Central Park, which attracted an audience of 100,000. And this day in 1995, the earliest known recording of Mick Jagger and Keith Richards from 1961 was sold at Christie's in London for £50,250. That's 85,425 American dollars. I'd like to thank Peter for including that one. And in 2003, on this day, Gemini, the UK entry for this year's Eurovision Song Contest, failed to get a single point. The first time a UK entry had ended up with no point, which again happened this last weekend when our entry from the UK also ended up with no point for only the second time in Eurovision history for the UK. And lastly, in 2007, 60s pop star Wayne Fontana was remanded in custody after admitting pouring petrol over a bailiff's car and setting fire to it. The judge criticized the former lead singer of the Mindbenders for arriving at Derby Crown Court dressed as the Lady of Justice. He had to hand a sword and scales to the guards, but still wore a crown, cape, and dark glasses, claiming justice is blind. And that's it for this day in history, birthdays, and in memory. Back to you, Peter.
Hey, thanks. And yeah, when I saw it, like I was going through the list of this day in history, just for you, I had to add the Rolling Stones piece.
Cheers for that. Cheers for that.
Yeah, because we all know how much you love the Rolling Stones. No comment. All right, so this is where we scour the World Wide Web for music business news that we think should be open for discussion. We will begin very shortly, but first I want to welcome everybody tuning in on our video live stream. How you doing, everybody? And if you have any questions or comments, just feel free to add that into the chat. And if anybody actually wants to see the video live stream, you can just go to musicindustrycity.com, and that's also where you can see the show notes for all the articles. And what you can do is as soon as we go live, for any of our live streams, you'll be able to access there right from musicindustrycity.com. So you can actually see what this looks like. And with that being said, what we're going to do is read key sections from articles for the first 20, 30 minutes, open up the stage for the roundtable discussion for the remainder of the hour. Feel free to raise your hand if you want to come on stage, offer your thoughts during the roundtable, and please note this is being live streamed. To stay in touch, make sure you tap the green house at the top there next to Music Industry City, and you can register for free at musicindustrycity.com to gain access to all our updates and programming. And also, just welcome to all our Android users. And with the algorithm being the way it is, and please feel free to hit that plus sign on the bottom to invite them in if you feel that this would be interesting for them, or you know somebody that, hey, they would be great to jump on the stage. With that being said, let's get into the news. Right. In the last year, we have seen tons of catalogs being bought and sold, and this one is on Billboard.com. Bruno Mars sells part of song catalog to Warner Chappell Music. And it says, starts off, Bruno Mars quietly sold off a portion of his song catalog to Warner Chappell Music more than 6 months ago, according to sources and confirmed by the company. Mars typically collaborates with other writers, including the Smeezingtons, but only his portion of that team's catalog was up for sale. Sources indicate that Mars didn't sell 100% of his share, retaining a minority stake in the songs sold to Warner. Okay, Mars' catalog includes, Just Where You Are, Locked Out of Heaven, the Lazy Song, as well as tracks he co-wrote and appeared on, such as Nothing on You and Billionaire. His catalog also includes numerous co-writes for other artists. According to ASCAP and BMI's SongView system, Mars has a stake in 232 songs. And according to the RIAA, Mars is the first artist to secure 5 diamond certified singles, 10 million equivalent song consumption units. All right, so what's interesting about this is that while the terms of the acquisitions are not known, sources say that Mars lawyers Scott Felcher shopped the deal. Sources further suggest that Mars usually has about 40% of the songs that appear on his album, and anywhere from 15 to 30% for songs where he's the co-writer. Moreover, sources indicate Mars has a co-publishing deal with BMG, which means he probably collects about 75% of the revenue of his share of the songs. So, and it goes on, what's deeper into this article is about the type of investment and why catalogs are being purchased. It's like one of the thoughts is, while Mars has sought after a song catalog, some potential suitors likely sat out the bidding because as a current artist, the catalog probably has hit songs going through the decay cycle. For example, the stream totals have yet to flatten the catalog status. Buyers prefer deals on songs that are in the catalog stage, thus no longer in the hit stage of a song's life cycle. Because the income track record of catalog songs allows suitors to better predict what streaming and other income-producing activity the songs will produce every year. This allows buyers to project realistic revenues that are needed to assess the financial viability of catalog acquisitions. In deals involving hits, asset buyers generally don't like paying high multiples on catalogs with a lot of current hit songs, typically valuing such assets as 10 to 15 times multiple, as opposed to the 17 to 20 times and even higher multiples that iconic hit songs provide. And so that's why we're seeing, a lot of these, it could be one of the reasons why we are seeing a lot of legacy artists get these, doing with these deals. And, it's because that they, like they're saying, is like they don't want to value, and it's a bit volatile a little bit of being able to predict and also risk management on what those hit songs in the decay cycle. So catalogs, that's what they're looking at as the way to go. With that being said, we are going to move over quickly to NFTs because, it's almost like what's a week without talking about NFTs. And this one is Quincy Jones, and this is from Yahoo, and you also can find it in Rolling Stone. Quincy Jones is backing a new NFT marketplace for the average music fan. And I'm going to skip over all the parts where it talks about what NFTs are because we don't need the daily reminder. But what they're doing is, he says, that announced plans on Tuesday to better serve fans looking for cheaper NFT options, including children and teenagers. It talks about a star lineup are expected to drop in tandem with One Of's launch sometime in June, according to early press materials reviewed by Rolling Stone. Jones is also a partner and an owner in the company. Adam Feld, Quincy Jones Productions president, co-founded One Of with digital media executive Joshua James and tech entrepreneur Lynn Dye, who will also serve as CEO of the company, which has been in the works for about 2 years. Recently raised $63 million from a seed round, and tech investors include 88 Rising and Bill Ty. All right, so what they're saying is that right now, navigating the most popular NFT platforms, which are often filled with trading-related data and hard-to-parse price tags based on the Ethereum cryptocurrency, is a head-scratcher, to say the least. A 12-year-old pop music fan may not know how to download a MetaMask wallet to hold their virtual tokens. They probably do know how to borrow mom's or dad's credit card for basic online shopping, though, which is why One Of will accept credit cards as well as crypto payments. And NFTs, for the most part, are pretty expensive. For months now, early adopters have made headlines with sales that soar up into the millions, and there are rarely any NFTs that have catered to the budget shoppers looking for the $10 or $25 options, mainly due to Ethereum's minting costs, which can run creators as much as $150 per NFT. The NFTs then have to be priced above that cost in order to turn a profit. One Of will not run on the Ethereum blockchain, so its team says the platform will require zero minting costs, which they believe is an industry-first commitment. Instead, One Of will run on these Tezos networks, and the Dapper Labs team came to the conclusion that Ethereum was just not able to scale and support NFTs. And Dapper was processing so many transactions that they actually slowed down Ethereum to a crawl, and Ethereum couldn't process transactions fast enough. So it gets onto all that technical stuff. It goes into a much deeper dive. And, as I always say, I'm all for NFTs. I really like this. I also say pay attention, because when you hear like, hey, okay, we're not going to have to pay minting fees and we're not going to pay gas charges, and which we're saying here, can run us like $150 and then you have to price it more. Well, what is the deal that you're going to be paying for that marketplace that is not going to be charging for gas fees, or they're built something on like Polygon or something else? And there are other platforms out there. So they claim this was the first one to do this. It's not the first one that doesn't have minting fees. There are other platforms out there, but I encourage you always to look into it. I'm excited about what the possibility and opportunities with NFTs. Don't get caught up in that bubble of those $63 million, the $2.6 million. Those are sexy headlines. But it's really interesting that, looking at this, like how to marketplace for the average music fan, if there is that way that can help artists, fledgling artists that don't have the big budget and resources to be able to mint NFTs and to be able to make a commission on sales and remuneration in secondary markets and all that, I'm all for it. And for the fact that I can get into more people's hands. All right. Moving over to Billboard, back to Billboard here. And we've talked about this for a while, is the Shuttered venue operators grants are late. And here's when the SBA says they'll arrive. They were supposed to start rolling out last week, And the article begins, independent venues are still awaiting federal grants approved 5 months ago to help their struggling businesses. And even after funds were supposed to start rolling out last week, they haven't arrived yet. The SBA, which is facilitating the Shuttered venue operators grant, said on May 10th that they, quote, expected to start awarding funds to venues, promoters, talent agencies, and other live entertainment businesses last week. Now that timeline has been pushed back again. This quote, the SBA is committed to quickly and efficiently delivering this pandemic relief to help our theaters, music venues, and more get the help they need, said the SBA in a statement provided to Billboard. It continues, while there continues to be some fine-tune of technical components of the program, we expect SVOG Priority 1, that's 90% revenue loss awards, to tentatively begin the week of May 24th. That is this week, kicking off a 14-day priority period. We will then move on to begin processing Priority 2 awards. In a call with SVOG stakeholders on Monday, yesterday, the SBA stated that it intends to distribute the first round of awards by the end of May. SVOG awards will come with the $16 billion in federal funding signed into law on December 27th through the second stimulus package. Venues, promoters, talent agencies, and other cultural institutions are eligible to receive up to $10 million based on their 2020 revenue loss. So, it goes on a little more deeper here. Independent venues have endured more than one setback when it comes to obtaining the federal funding of National Independent Venue Association. Others have been fighting since July 2020. The SBA originally attempted to open applications for the grants on April 8th, but the online portal suffered technical difficulties. On April 26th, more than 2 weeks after the failed start, venues are finally able to apply. All right, so, one of the final stats here is, and the funding goes out by the end of May, as the SBA stated. The first 14 days of awards will go to Priority 1, which, again, lost over 90% or more of the revenue. Days 14 to 28, awarding grants Priority 2. Those are businesses who lost 70% or more of revenue from April to December 2020. And after the first 28 days, entities that lost 25% or more of their revenue in the same time period will begin to receive the aid. At this rate, those businesses may not receive funds until July. And as of last week, just over 12,200 SVOG applications had been submitted. According to the SBA, out of that number, more than 9,250 are live music businesses. All right, so has anybody applied? Has anybody familiar or have heard anything else directly? Please feel free to raise your hand and join in. Give us an update. And with that, we are going to move over to TikTok. Ari's going to come up. Ari, how you doing?
You rarely get me to a stage, so this is unusual.
We welcome you. We are honored.
No, don't be honored. I'm just very passionate about what's going on and understand that the livelihood of so many folks in our business is dependent upon this money and the $16+ billion funneling down correctly. And to hear the concerns, frustrations, and fear out of a lot of people in our businesses concerning, there is a really good Facebook page, SVOG Acts Now, that many of us have, been leaning on each other, speaking to each other, communicating to help through the application process. But I think more than anything else, being crying shoulders as this continues to be botched. And my hopes are that the money does funnel down this week and then continue thereafter. I'm in tier 3. So I want my brethren and sisters in the business to get their money first, and hopefully there'll be enough left when they get down to me in the pecking order. I'm done speaking.
I appreciate that.
Thanks, Ari.
Yeah, the SVOG Act. Now, Elliot or Jamie, one of you, I think, made a comment the other day, and one of the delays was the possibility was because they're doing a lot more to filter out, so we don't have what happened during the PPP, where like Shake Shack was getting, $20 million when, all the small companies that it was supposed to be for are not getting it.
Yeah, I read an article last week that had said that was one of the technical hurdles that they were trying to make sure they didn't stumble over this time around. I am not a venue owner. I do work at a venue that I believe is in tier 1, and I've been in communication with, all the people that were involved with the application process. And all I can say is people are just waiting with bated breath. I'm not surprised it's been delayed again, by the history of what's been going on, how poorly the rollout has gone, but hopefully it's coming soon.
You think you think they might have learned how to handle things better after the first PPP rollout and all that funding, and would be able to enact this and be able to be more efficient with its planning. And this is not nearly near, it's a fraction of what was applied for with the PPP.
Yeah, I think a couple things on that, Peter. Number one is what they should have learned is that they had the banks and third party entities do a lot of the assistance to eventually get that over the hump. They had to, lean on Chase and Wells Fargo and the banks across America from the SBA. Here, they tried to understand a new business internally, and really, with the help of Neva and many others who did a great job, I believe, had to educate them internally, but they still, are doing this, it seems like, from an individual and a sole perspective rather than doing it from a third party perspective. I know they did that from the technology end from what we heard. And obviously that was a failure, unfortunately, out of the gate, which caused another 2+ week delay and a lot of frustration and nerves for folks, and probably cost people money as a result of having their accountants and their comptrollers and others being on call to submit and then not be able to do so. So, if anything is learned here is that if they're really serious about taking care of our industry, they need to do it properly from the outset. They need to learn on third parties that understand this stuff. They need to use outside folks in order to get this, funneled down quicker. But you've got people that are losing their lives, their livelihoods, and everything else as a result. And it's an absolute damn shame for all of our business that we can't get this money down to people. I'm done speaking.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, and on top of it, it's like when these venues, as we are starting to open up in different cities, of course, different cities are opening at different paces, and with the restrictions, it's like 33% capacity, 75% capacity. The other thing is that you're talking about venues that it's not worth opening up unless they can get to 75% capacity minimum. And that's why the delay on Broadway is because it's not worth it for them to open up shop. It'll put them further into debt to just carry that over unless they are at 75% capacity. And what a lot of it also fails is that venues aren't relying on the 75% capacity for ticket sales. It's also everything that goes along with that. It goes along with food, beverage, everything like that, drinks. So it's, I hope they can get this going quick enough, because we're starting to open back up and in certain areas, and, it just needs to come quicker.
Yeah. And the frustrating thing is that when you really get down to it, there are more people that work in our industry than, the entire airline industry combined. When you get into ticket takers, ushers, concessions people, hospitality, and the effect that we have on the local communities around us, people going to restaurants before the shows and such. And, the airline industry says, oh, we're going to have to lay off 10,000 people. And, there's federal hearings about it to get that money real quick. And, just because we work behind the scenes and aren't seen by the general public, people don't realize that there's, 3, 5, 10 times as many people involved with getting a show to happen than the people you see on the stage performing when you go to a show.
Yeah, I'll make 2 points and then I'll leave it to Chris and get out of the way off the stage. But the 2 points I'll make are, number one, keep in mind that our music business doesn't work for tomorrow. It works for 4 months, 6 months, 9 months ahead. And by continuing to tie the hands of these folks who can't make deposits on shows, or you expect for them to take care of things and they don't have the money to invest in the PPE and the safety and the things that they're preparing for and getting staff back before they go to other places, you're not just inhibiting them for the next couple of weeks, you're inhibiting them for months or years to come by not being able to compete on these shows with deposits and the things that they need to do to run their successful business. The second piece, and I know the SBA is trying hard, and I certainly, applaud them at least for, trying to do this regardless of how we feel it's run down. The other fund that was out there was the restaurants fund, which was so inundated with the amount of applications. Some from our side of SVOG went over and decided to actually submit to the restaurant fund and hopefully get funded over there because they couldn't wait any longer. Even the restaurant fund right now is in shambles and has had its own fair share of major disappointment, even though when it was announced, it got out of the gate a lot quicker than ours. So shame across the board, but hopefully we can get money to these folks so that they're also not hand-tied for years to come rather than just the next couple of weeks. I'm done speaking. I'll move out of the way.
Thanks, Ari. Chris?
I'm going to push back a little bit here, Elliot. The only reason being is we need to stop doing this comparative thing to industries. Number one, the airline industry does more than just move people around. It moves all the people that do these jobs around, including all the freight and everything else that they carry around the country. So to the actual infrastructure of the United States, infinitely a little bit more important. But there's another reason why we shouldn't. I'm not saying I want everybody to get their money. I want everybody to help. I want this industry to open back up. But every time we go comparative to another industry of why are they getting or we're not, or just because we're not seen, I've said this before and it doesn't get a lot of fanfare, but we were one of the most corrupt drug-fueled industries, and then everybody's all shocked and awed why we're not getting the respect that we think we deserve or should get. We also need to look at the epic proportions. It's real easy to be an armchair and say, oh, they screwed up the rollout, they messed this up, this is screwed up. Look, this is unprecedented times. This is, it's just getting the vaccinations out there, just getting a vaccine, just trying to do the testing, trying to get this money out there. The organizations that got together to do it, and yes, the one rollout had issues, and now they're a couple of months late, but they're trying to get people money. So constantly sitting here saying with our hands out, give us money, why are you screwing this up? You should know better. I don't get it. What exactly is the point of that? So I think everybody needs to be a little more understanding of the situation as a whole. I understand it's desperate times. I understand there's people holding on by a thread, but taking those tactics in that form towards it isn't going to help anything at all.
Thank you, Chris. All right. Great points, everyone. Thank you so much for that. And, it is a trying time, and it's, people are at wit's end and, getting more frustrated. And yeah, I mean, like Chris said, yeah, it's like, this is money that being handed out, and, it's something that, many other countries aren't doing. Some are, some have had better experience, some haven't. And, it's we just want this all to be gone. That's really what it is. We're just waiting for that. We want to be out there, and hopefully this will come soon enough. My final thought is like, they're rolling out saying to July, maybe, things like, well, why can't they update that? And I'm sure, I mean, I'm asking the question of why can't they update that? Because there are so many moving parts to go along with this, saying, hey, listen, we're just going to roll out priority 1 and priority 2 next week because we know we're behind. But there's a reason for everything. And, also we're dealing with government and bureaucracy. So hopefully this will come soon enough and we can be back, and, the independents and the musicians and the venues and everything can be get going back full steam ahead. So with that being said, thank you everybody for that, your input. We're going to move over to SiriusXM is starting a TikTok music channel to appeal to the teens. So we're going to change directions here. And this is in theverge.com. And again, any of these articles you can find in the show notes at musicindustrycity.com. So go to musicindustrycity.com, click on the show notes graphic, and you'll see all the headlines. And also we have the playlist, we have the resources. And if you want to hit that play button on the YouTube video, we are live streaming this. And so with this being said, SiriusXM wants to reach the youth, and starting today, it's going to do so through cultural cachet of TikTok Sirius. Sirius, which owns Pandora and the podcasting company Stitcher, announced a new partnership with the social video app today that will bring TikTok popularized music to the satellite radio provider. TikTok Radio, a new music channel, will broadcast trending sounds to the SiriusXM app, browser, and connected devices. Sirius says tuning in should sound like swiping through TikTok's For You page. It is also using the partnership to launch a new Pandora series called TikTok Tastemakers, and that'll involve popular TikTok creators like Bella Porsche hosting and curating playlists with their favorite songs alongside commentary. They'll also promote the shows on TikTok. The partnership really seems to mutually benefit both companies, according to this writer. TikTok gets even more brand promotion while Sirius has something to market to teens. Right now, the company's most prominent deal is with Howard Stern, someone many teens likely haven't tuned into here. Offering a TikTok station might make selling them a satellite radio subscription slightly easier, or if nothing else, it'll make driving around in their parents' car more enjoyable. And this was, the conversation has been around TikTok for quite some time. And this is an article that was posted by Alan Cross earlier this month, first week of May. And I'm just going to point out some of the highlights. It's his thought piece on here. And the title is called Alan Cross, The Future of the Music Industry is TikTok. And here's why. So he goes into like the history and everything. It's a real in-depth article. And if this is something that you're interested in, I encourage you to read the article, because it talks about, musically, everything, how it came together. And, ByteDance was watching carefully. And when Musical.ly reached 200 million users in mid-2017, it was ready with a $1 billion offer. The deal closed November that year, with Musical.ly being absorbed entirely into TikTok. So Facebook thought about buying the company, but a deal couldn't be reached, partly because they were dealing with the Chinese company, and Facebook is blocked in China. So you fast forward, and one of the things that they were talking about here is the growth. And they talk about a recent survey of 1,000 users found the following, that 47% of the respondents believe TikTok is the future of the music industry. 55% say TikTok has influenced their music taste. 60% use TikTok for discovering new music, ranked second only to Spotify. And nearly 3 in 4 people have discovered a new favorite song through TikTok. 40% have discovered a new genre of music. And when it comes to genres, hip-hop at 74%, pop at 58%, alternative 23%, and EDM 23% are the genres that TikTokers say they have been exposed to for the first time. But only 81% of users think artists should collaborate with TikTok creators. They're saying 14 million new users are jumping on every day. An average of 100 million people reliably use TikTok every month in just the United States. And the average TikTok user checks in with the app 19 times a day. The average user spends 89 minutes per day on TikTok. And so the demos of the users as follows: of age 13 to 17 is 17%. Then the majority is 18 to 24-year-olds with 42%. And then it starts dropping off at 25 to 34 at 22%, and 34 to 44 at 12%. So, and also 47% of users say they bought something because they saw it on TikTok. All right, the article goes really into more details. I just thought these was interesting stats. Now, again, it doesn't show, what the people that were polled. I mean, when you hear music discovery, you're also going to hear in other articles that YouTube is still the number one music discovery platform. And, so, take these, and again, always do some extra research. But it is interesting the power that TikTok has had on the music industry. And if anybody, wants to jump up for the roundtable and talk about if they had any experience with TikTok as an artist or as a label, or anybody in the business that has experience with TikTok, love to hear your thoughts.
I just wanted to point out here that as a person who, I kind of, as the last bit of Generation X, I kind of straddle between being a digital native and not. And so I remember when I was 18 to 24, MySpace was the way that people in my demographic at that stage were getting to new music and discovering new music. And then as we outgrew that, the kids behind us discovered it primarily through YouTube, as that was the new up and coming thing. And then the kids behind them discovered it through Instagram. And then there was a minute when Snapchat was the way when everybody, or Musically, or whatever TikTok was prior to TikTok. And everything had its sort of little minute in between. And now TikTok is ranking really high with that group. So, with all due respect to Alan, judging from my own life experience and having been on one side of discovering music the old-fashioned way through radio and MTV and other avenues, it being the internet is kind of cyclical in that way, that as soon as something becomes something that the oldsters are getting onto, it stops being as relevant with that demographic. I really can't see, in 10 years, the 18 to 24-year-olds jumping on the same thing that the people who would then be in their 30s were into when they were teenagers. But that's just my take.
Well, no kid wants to be where their parents are.
Exactly.
But and also we look back and there was one during that, like, MySpace and then Tumblr, also Vine. I mean, it was 7 seconds of Vine, and Republic Records was one of the took the lead on that, and we're signing artists based on Vine.
Yeah, Vine and Vimeo were pretty big for a while there as well, in between, for sure.
But what's happening with TikTok, it seems a lot more than the attachment to all these prior platforms. There's something that is really sticky with TikTok and music, and it's really interesting to see how this grows. And like you said, yeah, I mean, give it another 18 months, and we're going to have another what's the new platform du jour. And what are the kids going to flock to then? And they're going to say, Facebook is for old people. Well, then Instagram's for old people, and then TikTok is for old people. But you see Snap. I mean, Snap. We do have an article. I'm going to kick over to Snap for a moment because it is really interesting what's going on with Snap and how they are still. It's like what we thought. There was the Snap was going away at a period of time, and it seems to be back, and it's really interesting to see how these are growing and how people are still using these platforms. And with that being said, we are going to check in with the weather really quick, Angela.
Yeah, just a quick weather report. Wherever you are, go over to your nearest window and open it up and stick out your head. You'll be able to see what the weather is locally to you. And normally this is a place where I'd slip in a joke, but we all know that weather jokes are only funny to a certain degree. Back to you now, Peter.
Thank you.
Sorry, Peter, can I just quickly jump in with TikTok?
Certainly, Carl.
The thing about TikTok, I mean, I'm 40 this year, but I use TikTok quite regularly for different things, not around music, but just generally just to fill a bit of time. But I think what TikTok has proven is that people are digesting content in a different way. As Angela said, I was in MySpace, Tumblr, Reddit, and TikTok, the shortness of the videos is why people digest that content easier, and why so many people are on there, because I think people don't like long form, be it a 50-minute YouTube video. How many people will watch the entire 50 minutes? They'll skip through bits trying to find the relevant information. But with TikTok and music, I think the cool thing is the fact that people can use the sound. So you'll get an artist will upload a snippet of a song, and once that artist has got a following, their followers will start using that sound. So that's how it sort of has this tidal effect where it moves on from just being the artist, and then people start using the sound. People click the sound, and they'll be able to go back to the original artist of who originally uploaded the music. And I think this is how TikTok is finding new artists, how new artists have been discovered. You look at someone like The Weeknd with Blinding Lights, and how massive that went. Was that the reason why he got the Super Bowl gig? And stuff like this where it comes down to how people are digesting content. Not many people, especially that 18 to 24 demographic, are watching live TV. All their content they're consuming is coming from on-demand, TikTok, YouTube, and other stuff like that.
Excellent point, Carl. Thanks for that.
Yeah, and you see, like, what TikTok has been doing to help creators, and it's Creators Fund, and outside the direct creator economy, this was discussed, and I didn't have it. I just kind of had this one sitting on the side. A couple weeks ago, TikTok announced that they're launching a job service for Gen Z. So I'll briefly talk about this. It's like the pilot program is designed to help people find jobs on TikTok and connect with companies looking to find candidates. So it's testing a tool for brands to recruit employees, and sources are saying. So the company is currently testing a service with a beta group of companies. Several big brands have been asked about participating, including sports leagues. The platform isn't a product that's integrated within TikTok itself, but rather a separate web page accessible via the TikTok app, Where brands can post jobs, primarily entry-level listings, users can post a TikTok video resume to the site rather than a traditional resume. The idea is for users to give an elevator pitch or work experience summary via their video in a unique way. TikTok will ask candidates to post their resume videos to their TikTok profiles if they wish to help publicize the new service. So, you look at this is another way that they are tailoring it to their audience space. And you're looking at more of a lifestyle. So this is opening up a more of a lifestyle brand as just beyond just creating videos and posting it up. And this, will also help generate more of that, brand. What is the term I am looking for? A relationship with their fans, with their users.
Influencer.
Well, not necessarily influencer. I think we're looking at the term influencer going away in the sense, as opposed to looking at the oncoming creator economy. That's going to be the new buzzword, as opposed to the attention economy, or I like to say the attention deficit economy.
They're taking over the role of radio presenters, TV shows, and it's becoming the entertainment which is being consumed that way. They say they are. TV is now being pushed to the side, and on-demand content like TikTok or YouTube is what is taking its place. And you're going to see over the next few years, I think cable TV is going to start going over a cliff because people realize they don't need to pay for cable TV when they can get the entertainment and content they need from on-demand services like YouTube, like Twitter, even Disney, Prime, Netflix. Cable TV is I think going to start going the other way. But why TikTok is so popular is because anyone can jump on a trend or a viral sound or a video, and all they need is a cell phone. For YouTube, you only need good quality camera, editing software. But anyone with a cell phone, a smartphone, they can jump on TikTok, they can see a trend, and within 60 seconds they've created a video, they've uploaded the video, and it's there for everyone to watch.
Right. And with that being said, to go into YouTube, that's why YouTube, saw the power of the short format, and now they have YouTube Shorts. And you don't necessarily need the high quality camera and everything for YouTube Shorts, and there's plenty of content out there. Yeah, and YouTube definitely is a different platform, but YouTube Shorts is really interesting, and it's taking off, and people are using that in a different way. So there's the discussions going on, and I'm gonna move on from this one, but discussions like we would look at for video streamers, is it YouTube, is it Twitch, and for Shorts, is it Reels, is it TikTok, is it Shorts? And there's so there's so many applications that are utilizing similar functionalities, but each has their different audience and a different use, so it kind of falls under what works best for you. With that being said, I'm going to kick this over to more of the international with the UK, and this is from Complete Music Update. The article is titled 77% of musicians expect earnings to be hit by a new post-Brexit touring bureaucracy. Okay, and so as the music industry continues to put pressure on the UK government over the post-Brexit bureaucracy, performers touring Europe are facing as COVID restrictions start to lift. The Musicians Union and Incorporated Society of Musicians have revealed that 77% of artists expect their earnings to decrease as a result of the new visa, travel permit, and carnet requirements they now face. A significant number of musicians are not expected to tour Europe as a result. Others are considering relocating to countries within the EU, and a fifth are considering a career change. The last-minute post-Brexit trade deal negotiated between the UK and EU at the end of last year did not include any provisions to ensure that British performers could continue to tour Europe without requiring visas, travel permits, or carnets. In the absence of such a provision, performers touring the EU must now navigate the specific rules of each European country. Some don't require any permits or paperwork for short-term touring, but some do. It is feared that the costs associated with the visas, permits, and carnets now required will make many tours involving British musicians and crew unviable. So it goes into deeper, and the MU and the ISM explain, quote, this is due to the additional documents musicians require themselves, like work permits and visas, and for their equipment. Custom documents like ATA carnets, transport expenses have also risen due to new road haulage requirements, and some survey respondents expect that when combined, all these costs could add up to as much as £15,000 extra per tour. According to the survey, only 43% musicians are still planning to tour or shows in the EU in the future, and around 42% of musicians would consider relocating in order to continue working, and 21% are considering a change of career. It goes on even deeper. I see Chris joined us back up on the stage, and I know Angela, you are over there. So I want to have you lead in with this on your thoughts.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in. This is really Chris's world, so I want him to certainly say what he came to say. But I just wanted to point out that since this was announced in the middle of the first lockdown here last year, there have been, I can't even count how many petitions, meetings. I get regular updates into my inbox about this as one of the drafters of one of the petitions for this, that they are still trying to negotiate with the government to have some deal struck to allow a free movement for just this sort of touring, because it is creating quite a problem. But as of yet, they have declined every request. So with that, I'll lead over to Chris, who probably has some insight as well.
Well, yeah. Once England went ahead and got their own version of the guy that we used to have, they made this terrible mistake of Brexit without having all their ducks in a row, if you will. The problem we're seeing, just as Angela rightly put, is that there's been a ton of petitions. There's been a ton of this. However, the EU would also have to approve anything that England itself tries to do. So currently, the way the rest of us are always used to having to get different permits, even when we go to England, we have to have carnets no matter what we do. I think England was a part of the EU for 45 years, or, from that point. But right now, the infrastructure isn't in place. So this isn't top on their priority. It is causing a ton of problems in the sense of logistics. There's some weird trucking rules that we're waiting to find out that trucks coming in with gear are only allowed to make so many movements, which would limit the amount of shows and the capabilities of those being done. But currently, considering it's so low on the totem pole of where entertainment's going to lie in this, it's tough. So everybody's being advised that you're either doing England first and then the rest of the EU, or you're finishing with England. You don't want to bounce back and forth because of the nightmare that's involved currently. So everybody's kind of looking at their routing that way right now.
I'm curious, just as an aside, Chris, because obviously if anybody's playing Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland is still part of the EU, technically.
It's still the same thing there. Yeah, same situation. Yes, carnets and everything. As a matter of fact, there's somebody in talks with me right now that's starting in Glasgow, but bouncing between the two and then going out. And it's kind of like, okay, well, you got to look at this routing because you are going to have to provide that each time you cross. Now, as you see over there and as everybody else is seeing, just currently regular infrastructure of trade has been heavily affected in this without entertainment at all. And I believe that's why they're kind of not looking at it. But I think right now, anything that's proposed, and there have been, I'm aware of at least 12 different documents that have been prepared and submitted to try and come up with a plan for this. But I think what people need to understand, too, is that whatever may be adopted on England's front, they then have to pose to the entire EU, which would then have to take whatever time they're going to take to kind of digest that, unpack it, and decide what changes they're going to make. Because clearly at this point, there's been nothing between the two that has been like, hey, let's do this. Okay, we agree to that. That hasn't played out. So I think, unfortunately, we're going to see this for a while.
Boo.
Yeah, it's going to take a long time for this to be sorted out. So, and even with like airlines, I looked at it. I saw a headline. I didn't get into it, but it was like they're saying airlines travel is going to take till 2029 to resort itself out in the EU, and this is all on top of everything. So there's going to be we're going to be in a slight fog, navigating difficult waters for quite some time.
Even the private charters now can't just bounce in and out. All private charters are going to have to go through all the same as everybody else. If you get a tour bus, let's say you go to Ian at Beat the Street, out of Austria or whatever, instead of going with Jumbo Cruiser out of England, you're going to have all that paperwork for those vehicles, those drivers, all those visas, everything necessary, the carnets of all the equipment going through. It's all going to have to be done for every tour. So when you look at England about how many shows the average size tour can do there, that's why it's kind of like, okay, you're going in for maybe 2-3 shows, 5 max, really, in most cases. So it's kind of like, okay, you're not going to want to bounce back and forth. You're going to start or finish with it just so that headache only happens the once.
Right on. Thank you for that update. And yeah, I'm looking already at 2022. of just like, like Primavera Sound. It was like, oh, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to focus on anything for 2021. When they announced that lineup, I'm like, that's my festival I'm going to go to. So I'm going to wait until 2022 for this to shake out, and then I'm going to go catch that. I do have just a few more. I know we have about 10 minutes left in the show here. If anybody else has some comments they want to jump up, we can call it this. We can start bringing people up for the industry roundtable. If there's something that you wanted to chime in about, or if there is a topic that we missed that you wanted to bring to the table, feel free to raise your hand and come on up. And I'm going to do a bunch of shorts here. And this one, again, you can get all of the headlines from musicindustrycity.com. When you go to musicindustrycity.com, you can click on the show notes graphic, and there will take you to all our headlines and everything else that is in the document with our playlists. So here's a couple quick bits, we'll call them. Bandcamp. You can now use Bandcamp app to listen to items in your collection when you're offline. So you go from the album or track view, just tap the download button below to play below the play controls. You can also tap and hold the cover art of any item in the collection grid view, and to see the items you've downloaded, tap the new download tab under the collection tabs. And this you can get that latest update from Android and iOS. Another one is Clubhouse, and welcome to our Android users. That has been since Friday worldwide open to the Google Play Store and Android. And this one says it's crossed 1 million downloads on the Google Play Store. And so, this is going to be really interesting to see how this changed the landscape and what's going on. I think this is fantastic, because they were talking about in this article, they talk about Clubhouse's decision to launch the Android platform comes after it saw a stagnant increase in downloads of Apple's App Store. Report by apps analytics firm Sensor Tower claimed that the App saw a diminishing curve for its iOS app downloads following this Clubhouse launch in public beta earlier this month for its Android app. The public beta was exclusive for US Android. So then they just rolled it out. They quickly pushed it. I know a lot of the Android users do not have all the tools that the iOS users have. They are going to be rolling those out over time. But it's great to have you here, and we welcome you. And with that being said, make sure you follow the people up on stage and check out the people in the audience. Update your bio so we get to see who you are, and follow, click that green house that's at the top of the screen here, Music Industry City, and you can follow the Music Industry City Club. With that being said, we are going to move over to just a little update on the Eurovision controversy. This is BuzzFeed. The Italian Eurovision winner passed a drug test after viewers thought he did cocaine on live TV. So, I mean, I thought it was a little scar on, detracted away from the greatness of, Italy winning. First time, I think it was 31 years. It got blown out of proportion. France called for them to be disqualified without even looking into it. But, they started following the widespread speculation about whether he snorted cocaine on live TV. The lead singer of the Italian band that won Eurovision passed a drug test, officials said on Monday. Quote, no drug use took place in the green room, and we consider the matter closed, the European Broadcasting Union, which organizes international music competition, said in a statement. So yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that, just to make sure everybody knows, like, hey, he wasn't doing it. With another
just a quick aside, Peter, he's picked up quite a bit of steam over here with teenage girls. Damiano has become quite the sensation, not because of obviously the drug scandal, but because of his boyish good looks, I imagine. So he's not coming up too bad from it all.
See, Adam's coming up to the stage. Adam, is there something you wanted to? Adam, is something you want to add to this?
Yeah, I didn't know whether anyone else like me was cynical enough to think that whole thing was actually perhaps staged a little bit. I mean, I couldn't think of a better position for them to be in terms of the attention it got them, at no cost, because it was proved that he didn't do it. And just like everything else about their act is just straight out of the playbook of 70s rock. Am I being too cynical? Is that?
Ooh, hot take.
Here we go. Let's launch the conspiracy theory on this one. Adam, I don't know about if it's a tinfoil hat wearing, but here's something that it's like, this is that no bad press is, bad press can be good press kind of situation. I'm sure they're getting more awareness. And as Angela said, also about, the UK ladies. But one of the things that just goes along with this is the European Broadcasting Union also said in a statement, "We are alarmed that inaccurate speculation leading to fake news has overshadowed the spirit and the outcome of the event and unfairly affected the band." I wouldn't, I would not go along with that, the theory that you have there, because it puts an asterisk. I mean, people always see and hear the first thing, but might not hear the retraction. So what they're going to be known as, hey, you were the cocaine band at Eurovision. Well, for them, that might be a good thing. But overall, it could be tarnished in some ways, depending on how you look at it. And so, like you said, it's like, hey, if somebody was doing, if they were a rock band, it's like, yeah, 70s, 80s opulence, let's party. And that's part of the spirit, the punk rock spirit, then yeah, go for it. I mean, they're blowing it all out of proportion in different ways.
Sure, I remain cynical. I just think I just think it's almost too perfect a mock scandal for my theory to be ruled out. I think it almost benefits everyone now that it's been like disproven. It's just a win-win.
Well, we'll have to wait for the memoirs to come out in a decade. And wrapping up, we are going to go with the daily Spotify spot.
Big green dot. It's the spot.
It's the Spotify update, and this one is from Digital Music News. And Spotify video podcasts are now available on Xbox. Now you can watch podcasts while gaming. So the article starts off, Spotify is on a quest to dominate the podcast industry. Video podcasts are now available on Xbox. The partnership will help Xbox gamers enjoy their favorite video podcasts while gaming. Spotify Connects lets users control the podcast playback with their mobile device, providing a handy interface without leaving the game. Spotify's multi-million-dollar gamble on podcasts is paying off with partnerships like this. So how to watch it? This article tells you how to do it, so you just have to have the Spotify app installed on your Xbox. You open it up, play a video podcast, and you're good to go. So the Spotify video podcasts are limited at the moment since the platform was not designed for it. That's a key sentence right there. Only a select handful of creators have video podcasts available on the platform. That include Joe Rogan, Nas Daily, Misfits, H3, Fantasy Footballs, The Morning Toast, Book of Baseball, and some more. Spotify is slowly expanding access to its video podcast to other creators. Creating video podcast content is a little different than traditional podcasts, which can be highly edited affairs. Joe Rogan catches a lot of flack on his podcast for posting an unfiltered look at his guest that week. Spotify is available on Xbox and PlayStation ecosystems, but Microsoft is embracing its media roots. Dolby Vision is also enabled on the Apple TV for Xbox Series X and S consoles, and combined with the immersive audio of Dolby Atmos, you'll be able to see and hear what you've been missing for a premium experience like no other, according to their press release. And so, it's all tying together. I mean, and we go back to Spotify is not a music streaming platform. It's an entertainment service. Any final thoughts as we come to the end of the day? And I want to thank everybody, that has come up to the stage. Valuable insights and input. We really appreciate that. And Angela, any final thoughts? Anything that stuck out for you?
I really enjoy the discussion on touring. I always do, because at the end of the day, the music business, the crux of it, aside from the recordings and the writing of the music, being able to share it with others is part of what our community is really about. So having that those updates coming in regularly has really been reassuring to me that the people are being seen to, and that someone is on the case, whether it be slow going or non-productive. At least it's not forgotten. So I'm really proud of the industry of having sort of each other's back in that regard.
Right on. All right. Any other final thoughts before we wrap up?
Make sure to follow everybody on the stage and in the room here. I can see a lot of faces in the business here that are really helpful if you have questions, if you're just getting started in the industry, or you want to make connections. Remember, it's a global business as well. So for those of us on the other side of the pond or on the other side of the world, there's people in here from all over the place. So follow each other. Tap the greenhouse at the top to follow Music Industry City and all the great events. I also host a networking event occasionally, including in the next hour. So follow me if you want to know more about that. Thanks for that, Peter.
Right on. Yeah, I'm going to be popping into that when I see you're starting in just about a minute. So, all right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And again, you can find out all the articles at musicindustrycity.com in the show notes graphic and all the playlists. And also, you can register for free at musicindustrycity.com to find out all the other events and shows and everything that we are working on. And if you missed some of the news and you wanted to go back, it is up on the website. So you can watch the live stream directly from the website or watch the latest week of episodes and our other programs. So thank you, everybody, once again. Have an awesome day, and we will see you back here tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great one, everybody.
Cheerio.